Hello and welcome to Sportsbet Daily over at Oddsmarket.com. We've got an interesting show, as always, lined up for you guys. Nations League, obviously, fight for third and finals there. UFC, what else have we got? We've got tennis finals as well. We've got one final, obviously, on the women's side. And then we added in a little extra because I bumped into Jimmy the Bag. He said he's got an awesome long shot. And I said, hey, come on the show and come and tell us. Anyway, we must crack on because we've got two boys over on the other side there in Europe who are eager to get on with their Friday nights, but they had some tips that they wanted to share first. Introducing Team Bankroll here, the heavyweights, Martin and Alex. You know these boys, they need no introduction. Here they are. How are you doing? It's been a long week, eh?
How you doing?
Long week. Looking forward to a great Friday night. But yeah, delighted to share a bit of time with the Oddsmarket and Sportsbook Review family beforehand.
Oh, but
Beer night, boys' night.
Appreciate
Friday.
it. It has been a long week and almost time to let one's hair down. But before you do, I'm going to quickly grab some tips off you. So let us commence. If you do not know these guys for any reason, this is Martin Green down in the bottom there in the red shirt, at Martin W. Green, if you'd like to give him a follow on Twitter. He's been with us, both have been with us for a very, very long time. They write articles over at oddsmarket.com detailing all of their football tips. And up the top there is Alex from Need for Tips, at Need for Tips over on Twitter. All right. Switzerland versus England, the fight for third. England 2.12, draw 3.75, and Switzerland 4.5. Now, the first question I do have to ask. I know there's about $1 million at stake, which is obviously a lot of money. But how are the teams going to approach the match for third? Martin, how would you say they're going to come in all guns blazing? And is it a fight to the bitter end, or is it a bit like, you know?
I very much doubt they're going to come out all guns blazing, unfortunately. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be a consolation prize, but I think they'd rather not be there. They'd rather not play it. $1 million, which would go to the federation, isn't a great deal of money to these heavily paid footballers. So yeah, I think motivation is going to be a problem. I imagine it would mean more to Switzerland than it would to England. Finishing third for a country of their stature would still be a result, but yeah, I think neither team's really going to be overly motivated for this one.
I agree. That's exactly what I was thinking. What about you, Alex? Do you think they're going to be a little bit more at ease? Do you think it's going to be an open game? They're going to be substituting players, rotating the bench?
Yeah, I think that it will be a heavy rotation from the two coaches. I think that most players that participate right now to the UEFA Nations League final matches will have the chance to play in at least one game, the game for the third place. As you mentioned, it will be $1 million in plus for the third place than for the fourth place. I think that the fourth place will get 6.3 and the third place will get 7.3, something like this. I think that, yeah, as Martin said, Switzerland will try, will be more motivated, but I think that also England, they've lost to the Netherlands with two great mistakes there in the extra time. Very, very big mistakes from the two defenders, Stones and I forgot the second one. But I think that also England will try to win this match, because after that, the media, you know, the English media, how it is. Yeah, you lost to the Netherlands, but why you're losing also to Switzerland? You know, the media in England is very bad with the players that are not performing well. So I think that it will be an open match. Both teams will try to attack. They will be careful not to get injured before the vacation, because obviously they're living in vacation exactly after this match. So yeah, I think that it will be an exciting match to watch, despite the fact that both teams will enter with their substitutes.
Yeah. Do you agree on Alex's take of the UK media there, Martin, man on the ground?
Well, as somebody that works in the English media,
article.
I probably would agree with that. Yeah, they really do get on the back of the England team. There is a lot of pressure on them to deliver, and yeah, they're subjected to a lot of criticism when they fail, particularly in certain red top newspapers. They'll really lambast them every time they do falter. So, yeah, I think there will be a bit of pressure on them. I agree with Alex about both managers rotating. I think there's probably more quality in the England squad than there is in the Switzerland squad. So if you think they're going to make a lot of changes, then I'd probably be looking at an England win in this one, because you've still got some pretty good players on that England bench. Jordan Henderson's got a bit to prove. You know, you've got the likes of Dele Alli. Someone like Callum Wilson could even come in and have a great game up front. So, yeah, I think that might swing it in England's favour. But, yeah, it might be a bit of a muted atmosphere, but I still think we should see a good open game. I think we all know now that England are terrible defensively. John Stones was shocking in that last semi-final, and I think anyone that comes in is going to struggle with the sort of possession from the play from the back football that Gareth Southgate likes. So I think we could be in for a good game here. I think we might be looking at both teams to score. So I think goals markets are interesting.
Yeah, that's where I'm looking as well. Anybody think that there's value on the Switzerland win at 4.5?
Maybe it dropped to 3.6 right now.
3.6 now, really? Wow.
Yes,
wow,
with 2.1. England at 2.1
like
and Switzerland at 3.6.
Oof. All right, then. Well, somebody obviously thinks there's a lot of value on the Switzerland win, eh? All right. So let's talk about the tips. Martin, you sort of showed your hand there. The both teams to score. That's 1.67. Not going to make us mega rich overnight, but there's definitely still some value in my mind. What is your bet, Martin?
Yeah, I think I can't really look past that both teams to score. Granit Xhaka gives the ball away a lot, as we know from Arsenal, sadly. There's gonna be chances for this England team, but we also know that they're pretty shambolic at the back too. So both teams to score looks pretty good. But I think I am just going to take a punt on England. If both managers rotate the pack, then you would expect England to have the better of it, because they've got a much greater depth of talent in their squad. I think scratch beneath the surface of that Switzerland starting 11, and there's not a great deal of quality there. They're very organised and disciplined, but beyond that, I think on the ball they'll struggle against England. So I'm just going to go for an England win, and I'm also going to go for both teams to score. Might have a double between both teams to score in this one and in the final.
All right then. So there we go. Martin's given his tips there. Alex, what are you playing?
Yeah, very interested about that England win at 2.1, about that English side. I think that there is a lot of value there, but I prefer to stick with the goals market here. I have two options: over 2.5 goals in the match at 1.8, over 1.5 goals in the second half at even money.
Sorry, I missed that one. I was just typing to whale on the thing. Sorry, both teams to score in the second half.
No. Over 2.5 goals in the match at 1.8 and over 1.5 goals in the second half at even money.
Or possibly highest scoring half being the second half as well. Could be a good one.
You love it.
You know, I like that one. I do love that one.
Natalie's
I always love that bet. All right, great stuff. Moving over now, Portugal versus Netherlands. For those joining on the clip, I'm joined by Martin Green, Alex from Need for Tip. We've just finished previewing the match for third. Check that out on our YouTube channel. And now we obviously look for the winner. Obviously, a lot at stake for these two teams. Portugal versus Netherlands. Portugal on their turf, 2.5. Netherlands, 3.1. And the draw, 3.34. We all went with Portugal. We all cashed that ticket. And I have to say, you've got Portugal win, 2.5. Portugal draw, no bet. Or lift the trophy, 1.75. I'm not looking much further past that, to be honest with you. Alex, let's start off with you for this one, Matt.
I'm not going to touch the winners market here. I think that we'll see a draw in 90 minutes. This is what I see. With maybe a Cristiano Ronaldo in full shape like he was against Switzerland can deliver, but Netherlands are such a great side right now. Absolutely amazing. Very impressed with them match after match. Frankie de Jong, Virgil van Dijk, absolutely Matthijs de Ligt. Imagine that Frankie de Jong had some absolutely amazing results in the game against Switzerland, in the game against England. 8% of the total possession of the Netherlands was Frankie de Jong. He is the brain from the midfield. He is absolutely brilliant. He is passing very nice. He is controlling the ball. He is absolutely amazing at 22, only 22. So I'm very impressed with this Dutch side. So I'm not going to touch the winners market here. Maybe I will stick half a unit on a draw at in regular time in 90 minutes. But despite that, I will just play the goals market here.
I think we've got goals in them. Again, I think this is going to be quite a thrilling match. Obviously, both teams won their semi-finals match 3-1. Martin, what do you like here?
I do think these teams are very evenly matched. They're both relatively small countries on the global scale, so they've got some real superstars. But then you've also got players within both teams that wouldn't get in. They wouldn't get in the England team, they wouldn't get in the France team or the Germany team. There's a few players that lack a bit of quality as well. So I think we will be in for a good open game. Obviously, Portugal's front three are just incredible. Cristiano Ronaldo was on fire in that semi-final. Bernardo Silva's fast developing into one of the best players in the world. And then you've got Joao Felix up front, who's going to command a price tag north of €100 million, this summer. So it's going to be fascinating watching that attacking triumvirate go up against arguably the best centre-back pairing in the world in Van Dijk and De Ligt. I can't wait to see it. I just think that there's a couple of things that go against the Netherlands in this game. Firstly, it's being held in Portugal, so you've got partisan crowds, you've got a lot of support for the Portuguese. Second, the Netherlands played the following day and it went to extra time. So Portugal have had a lot more time to rest up and be fresh. This comes after a very grueling season with just, the likes of Van Dijk and Wijnaldum have hardly had any time to rest since the Champions League final. So I think these players are going to be very tired. You saw it with Ajax in the run-in against Tottenham. The likes of De Jong and Van der Beek were looking knackered in that second leg. So I just think that in the second half, with the crowd roaring them on against tired Dutch legs, Portugal can win this one. So I'm also, like Alex, a bit wary that it could fall out into a draw. So I'm looking at Portugal to lift the trophy. I think you can get about 1.8 at that with Betfred, which I like. And I also really like both teams to score. I know that the Netherlands have got a very good defence, but Portugal are exceptional going forwards. And Portugal are also poor at the back. Pepe's still playing for them. He's 36 and seen better days. So I think even though they don't have a proper striker, I think Netherlands can score in this one as well. So my favourite tip is both teams to score, but I'm also looking at Portugal to lift the trophy. And I mean, it's probably worth looking at anytime goal scorer as well. Cristiano Ronaldo, 2.25, scored a hat-trick previous round. He's well up for this. So that's another interesting one for me.
Yeah, I'm surprised you guys weren't all in on the Portugal. There were obviously the points you were making there, Martin, with being on the turf and they're tired and all this kind of stuff. I was really confident, but I definitely like the lift the trophy at 1.75. All right, I think that wraps it up. All right, boys. Time for Friday night. Go and enjoy. I will see you next week. Thank you very much for sharing your tips.
Thank you, and best of luck with the Roland Garros. Very interesting action going on with Roland Garros. I can't wait to hear Will Capern's nice talking about the finals from both sides.
To the bar, you'll watch it on your phone.
Yeah, absolutely. On the cab.
I know. Alex, unfortunately, the taxi is waiting. All right.
It's waiting already.
Go have fun, boys. Enjoy your Friday nights, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, we will continue and crack on. Yes, so finals and some interesting stuff that's obviously happening. There's some with Novak Djokovic as well. And I know somebody wasn't too happy. They did make their feelings known on Twitter. I wonder which one that is. All right, introducing Whale Kappa and Snice at Snice Masters. Hello, boys. Happy Friday to you both. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Right. Who was I talking
Friday,
about?
folks.
Who was a little bit upset about Novak Djokovic?
Yeah. There's an enormous contingent of us who are team. there's a big
No,
contingent of us
it's
who are
my end.
team.
There we go.
And and I think we all feel similarly that he was in control in that third set. He got the break. He probably should have been up 2 breaks. You know, the opportunities were there to break the previous service game for Djokovic. Djokovic clearly wasn't really into it mentally today. He did not have his best game. He made a lot of very poor unforced errors in the first set. And if team clinches that third set, the match is all but his. The time was there to get back out there and finish that third set. But bizarrely, with the rain interruption at right at the end of team breaking Djokovic's serve, Djokovic picked up his rackets, ran off the court faster than you could even see the umpires say, this is we're going to suspend the match for now, and he was gone. Not only did he leave the court, he left the venue. This is unprecedented to leave before the officials have made a determination about whether they're going to resume play or not. He effectively made the decision for them by taking it upon himself to leave and put them on the spot to either DQ him or postpone it till tomorrow. And Roland Garros being the and this is not a broad attack against all the French, but they pulled a real French move here, succumbing to Djokovic's wishes and postponing the match until tomorrow. And so, by my calculations, it effectively helps Djokovic's win probability by somewhere between 10 to 15%, having not had to finish the third set today, which is very frustrating for those of us who are team, who wanted to see him get to the finals and have a full day of rest so he could give Rafa the business on Sunday.
Yeah.
But now he's going to have to do it now Saturday and Sunday. And, I'm curious what Snice has to say about this, but I know that Snice and I we're in the same boat here pulling for team.
Yeah. Well, he's 1.73 right now, if my odds are correct. What happened though, Snice? Like, did he leave before even the umpire called rain, or so he just left and the umpire was like, okay, we'll call rain?
Well, first of all, just happy Friday to you guys. I actually had to go and take a quick shower just to cool down because this stuff had me fuming. I was furious. So based on my understanding here, Djokovic was obviously, as Will said, he was not having his best game. He was not having a day. Team was pressuring him, moving him around the court. He was making a lot of errors, noticeably very, very, very tilted at the wind blowing in as it did, which was a huge factor in today's games. And when team broke him, officials didn't even suspend the game or anything. He just ran off the court. He didn't even consult with the official. So basically, he just ran out the court, and based on the information I have, he supposedly left the venue before they actually postponed the match, which is absolutely ridiculous. So I really hope. I mean, obviously, he should be a walkover. He should be losing this match, but I don't see it happening. It's just a power move by Djokovic. It really goes to show how much influence
this isn't like regular behavior, is it, from Novak Djokovic?
No.
He's a pretty powerful guy. He has a lot of political power in the tennis community in general because of his stature with the Players' Council. In the same way that Serena Williams gets away with a lot on the women's side of things, Djokovic and Federer, for that matter, get away with a lot on the men's side of things. And so it's when you're that powerful of a figure in the sport and you can kind of dictate how things go, this sort of thing happens. Djokovic in general is not known for these types of antics generally, but this was very tactical in my opinion. No one has the power to do anything about it, which is frustrating.
Yeah, I can imagine. So as far as the match goes, obviously you'd already placed your bets, but are you betting on anything different now? Because Novak Djokovic is the very marginal underdog. But do you think because of this break here that actually gives him an advantage, and he could beat Thiem?
So my personal feelings are Thiem's going to have a very, very tough hold when they resume. And it all kind of comes down to whether he was able to kind of be sharp as he was today, right out of the gate, cold, which is tough, which is a tough ask. If he withstands any early pressure from Djokovic to come back and level things in the third set, then I think team wins in 4-3-1. But I'm not taking any further action until we see how they look on the restart. And Snai has made a great point. The wind was an enormous factor today. You absolutely have to be looking at what they're calling for weather-wise tomorrow. If it's more of the same, if it's and really, I'm curious in general how you handicap the weather, Snai.
Yeah. As for the mass resumption, I don't have anything additional. I don't have any additional bets. But I think it plays into team's game. It'll be just as windy. I've looked up the forecasts.
Yeah.
And Djokovic is obviously hampered by this, both by his baseline hugging game. He often hits the lines, plays with a bit smaller margin than team does, and obviously affects him mentally as well. I don't know what it is, if it's just that he doesn't have time to get set, or what it is that bothers him that much with the wind, but he obviously doesn't like it. So I think team comes out firing. He takes this fourth set. And then if Novak doesn't unravel mentally from there, I think we'll see 5 sets. But if he's not in it tomorrow as well, it's 3-1 team.
Yeah.
But yeah, as to answer the question with the weather, it depends on what kind of weather it is. Obviously, some players are more fit than others. A player such as Dominic Thiem isn't really physically compromised by playing several days back-to-back. He's a physical specimen, one of the fittest guys on tour. Obviously, some weathers like rain affects some players' games more than others. Like, for example, team plays with a heavy topspin. If it rains, that will be hampered, and that would mitigate an advantage he would have had against Djokovic, who likes when the clay courts play a bit more like hard courts. So in general, it's very player specific. You kind of have to know which players react to the adverse weather conditions the best and how it affects their games.
Yeah. Very good. Obviously Nadal to win at the moment is 1.73 and still looking pretty good, I have to say. Basically, he's going to be well rested. King of the clay entering this one. All right. Okay, let's move over now. The women's finals.
Well,
here.
actually, let me. Can I add something about Nadal in the final? We'll crystal ball a little bit here and say, for the purposes of how to help people kind of make their plays on the men's final. If Djokovic makes a comeback here and prevails, I'm all about Nadal in the final. I think actually it's going to be an overwhelmingly, it's going to be, we're talking like 3-0 beatdown here. And so, if you see a comeback from Djokovic here and he's in any, especially if it's a 5-set comeback from Djokovic, then I'm salivating for them to hang that 3-0 price. The 3-0 price for Nadal against Federer was the play of the tournament. That was an absolute no-brainer. Especially with the way the wind was today. But this 3-0 Nadal will be it'll be an even better price against Djokovic, and I think you're going to have to take a swing at that if we do see Djokovic go through.
Yeah.
If team goes through, on the other hand, the final is going to be war. I cannot wait for it. Obviously, I have a team futures. I have a bunch of team futures at a bunch of nice prices. I'm expecting that if you do see Nadal team in the final, you're going to see a line like Nadal probably -350-ish, something along those lines. And in that case, I'm probably going to have to cover a lot of my exposure and back a little bit of Nadal to win outright before the match starts. But I'm expecting that would be a long match and, quite a battle, really.
Yeah, quite the battle. Do obviously _Kappa and Snice Master there. Now, heading on over to the women's semi-final, and what is rather interesting is we have an unseeded player in the finals, right? Vondrousova. That's how you say it.
Vondrousova.
Versus Barty.
Vondrousova.
What I said. And she was 150 to win the tournament.
Wow.
Were either of you guys on that ticket?
No,
I'm on
our
that
good
ticket.
friend
You
is.
missed
Our
it.
good friend is. Yeah, I think. going back to the preview show that you guys did, where I was in Bora Bora and I had to cut out early. It's nice. You were advocating for Vondrousova at the time, weren't you? Wasn't that one of your looks?
Yeah, it definitely was. Although, as you said, one of your friends got it even early. I think they got it in early March or something. A great look there at 150 to 1. I got it to 40 to 1, which is still a nice price.
Still
obviously.
Amazing. Yeah.
So feeling pretty good about that one.
Yeah. I kind of so let's frame this a little bit. You're right, she's unseeded. But this is not unprecedented. She's come up very, very quickly through the junior rankings. She's an extremely talented player. And she kind of had a breakout last year in the run up to the French Open. She plays amazingly well on clay, and she is an extremely confident and dangerous player. Simona Halep got beat by Anisimova, which was a disappointment. Yeah. But I do think that you saw Anisimova, same kind of mentality. Like when you don't know you're not supposed to win, like you can play a little bit looser, a little bit more aggressively, and you're a little bit more dangerous. And I would expect that you don't necessarily see a lot of nerves from Marketa in this final. And I do think that she makes a nice dog price to win outright, even still. Like even if you don't have a futures outright ticket, I think Marketa wins this. I'm probably going to tickle a little Marketa 2-0 as well. That seems like a favorable price because, granted, I love Ash Barty. She made a lot of money for me at the Miami Open. She is a tremendous player. And our friend Snice has the look of Wimbledon. She's got a great price still hanging out there for Wimbledon and grass, which should be a better surface for her even than clay. Granted, Barty, huge career milestone, making her first ever slam final. Yep. Fantastic. Great job. I don't think she has the game to stop Marketa. Marketa is a runaway train at this point. She was able to fight back through some adversity in her match against Konta today. She was able to come back from, what looked like the brink of a collapse against Petra Martic in the quarterfinals. So, she's got the mental toughness to get it done in the slam final. She's not going to go up 1-0 and then, start thinking about the trophy and then have a lapse of judgment and, lose her game. I do think that she wins this title. She wins her first ever Grand Slam on clay. And she's going to be around for the foreseeable future. Get to know this young woman because she is quite the player, especially on clay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What do you think there, Snice?
Disagreeing a bit with Whale here, we used to break it down. Barty has been rising as well meteorically throughout the ranking. She actually took time off from tennis a couple of years ago to play cricket, believe it or not. And then she came back and now can become the world number 2 if she wins this title here, which would obviously greatly help her obtain a better seeding for Wimbledon, which, as Whale said, I've gone ahead and placed the future. This is a battle between two players that have extremely varied games. Barty employs a wicked backhand slice, which obviously plays well on the clay, but even better on grass. And she came through a weird game today. She was 5-0, 15-40, 2 set points up against Anisimova in the first set, completely collapsed from there, and lost the first set, 7-6. Then Anisimova ran her over to a 3-0 lead, and Barty actually came back from there. Took second set 6-3, the final set also 6-3, but it was on her 6th match point, and she really, really struggled to close that match out. A clear indication of nerves there. And Vondrousova, she's one of the players whose playing styles reminds me the most of Rafael Nadal. She's got the big lefty topspin, great movement, reads the opponent and the court extremely well. She knows exactly where to place her shots. She works with angles, drop shots, and exquisite lobs. She has everything in her arsenal, so she'll be around for a long time. She's the only player that hasn't dropped a set in the tournament, and she's come from dire straits, like Whale said, against Petra Martic, against Johanna Konta. She trailed 3-5 in both sets, yet still won in straights. But the way I see this, neither player has been in a match of this magnitude. This is both of them their first Grand Slam final. I have seen nerves from both players, especially Vondrousova versus Martic. And I can't see this match being over in a hurry. I think there are a lot of unpredictable twists and turns in this one. Both players play a very solid game. So the look I've gone for here is over 2.5 sets. That's available at 237 or plus 137. And I've also gone ahead and put some dog money on Vondrousova because I think she comes out of this one in a battle. So not hedging outright, I am doubling down. I definitely think that Vondrousova has this.
Oh, so you are both on Vondrousova? Yes. Oh, okay, you're United. And who won the last head-to-head?
Oh, between us or between these two players? I don't think they've ever played each other.
2-0.
What was the last head-to-head we had?
I thought there was on the last show on Wednesday.
I went Djokovic 3-0.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was very lucky by on your part. Zverev had him dead to rights in that first set. Zverev, that guy needs to see a psychiatrist. His head is way too in this in the outcome of these to do anything at the slam level at this point. Very frustrating.
I was counting on the collapse.
All right, so both
you got it. You got it.
Both on Vondrousova. Interesting stuff, and a much better price
Marketa. Let's
well.
go.
Are you choosing Marketa because it's easier to say Monketa than the other? It's like sort of Serena. This is just Marketa.
Yes. Williams is very complicated. You just go Serena and you're there.
Way easier. All right.
Exactly.
Marketa it is. There we go.
Yes.
So final play, you're going for the over 2.5 sets, and World Cup. What are you going for?
I'm going for I'm going head to head on this one, I guess, because I like Vondrousova 2-0. I think that the nerves that you saw from Ash Barty today, those were legit. And I think that ramps up even more, putting her as the favorite into this final. No day to prepare, no day to especially study and understand what Vondrousova is bringing in terms of clay game right now. I do think this is all you can go farther. This is the first of multiple clay titles that Marketa is going to take at Roland Garros on Philippe Chatrier in the first Saturday in June over the next few years. She's really something special.
All right. So this is the third time head-to-head with Snice. Are you worried at all?
Yeah, I don't want to go down 0-3. It's tough to come back when you're down 0-3. And in fact, if it's best of 5, that eliminates me from contention. So let's get a win here. Let's get on the board.
All right.
Start the comeback.
There we go. So obviously this is the final of our French Open coverage. But next week we're looking at the Mercedes Cup and other things on the tennis schedule next week. Yes, we are. We're not just doing grass slams anymore.
Grass season.
Grass season, yes. And also, I don't know if you're around World Cup next week, Women's World Cup, second round of bets, because today obviously is the opening. Woohoo! Bring on the Women's World Cup. All right, guys, wonderful stuff.
I got my first Women's World Cup play in action. I'm on both teams to score today in France versus South Korea, plus 169, 2.69 if you're in the UK or Europe. Should be a pretty competitive match. 2-1, 1-1, 2-2. They all get you there. Plus 169 is a wonderful look in that one.
Do you also bet Women's World Cup's nice?
I do not, but I will definitely tell you that. That's a huge price.
Out of the woodwork, these Women's World Cup bettors, I have to say. All right. All right, guys, that's World Cup and Snice Masters. Great speaking with you. Thank you for all your work, for your French Open tips, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a wonderful weekend, whatever you're doing. All right, moving over, UFC 238. We have got a big match on our hands, and it is the Batterman Weight Championship belt up for grabs. Yes, it is. Introducing Dave Betts and Jason Paglia from the Sports Keg. There they are. Hello, happy Friday. Hello, Jason. Hello, Dave.
Hello. What's up, Nat?
Can I hear you? No. Rafa.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. So it's a switch. It's our end.
Oh, okay.
It's our end. All right. So first of all, Jason, how are you doing? Obviously, something happened to you on Friday last week. Are you well and recovered?
Yeah, somebody ran a red light and hit me, but I feel good. I'm hanging in.
Good. And Dave, how are you doing? You had a winning punching parlay, because I brought it up, didn't I, last week, that your second season wasn't doing so well, but Lo and behold, you turned things around and it was high odds.
No, it was dogs and their odds at cash, not punch and parlay.
Oh, I saw. Sorry. Sorry.
Still
Never
cashed.
mind.
Either way, it doesn't matter. It's
Well, that's
fine.
right though. Dogs and the odds cashed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
To be honest, dogs and their odds has been secretly cashing quite a lot, to be honest.
And now not so secretly anymore. But
Mm-hmm.
all right, we'll also have a listen. Let us start with now. Jason has previewed the on Oddsmarket.com has previewed obviously the main event and also the co-main event. Very quickly, we can go into the co-main event now. Really, I have spoken to you both individually, obviously off camera. And Valentina, she's defending her championship title, and really there is this is one to watch. We're expecting a very sort of confident game from Valentina. Would anybody disagree with that or have anything to add on the co-main event?
Go ahead.
No, I think it's Shevchenko all the way. Dave and I talked about it for like 20 minutes. How if there was a way to approach this fight from a betting perspective, and the only thing we thought of was inside the distance or the fight goes the distance. But it's so hard to tell with these two girls because you know one of them is going to win in Valentina Shevchenko, but you just don't know how it's going to happen. So we broke down the fight and didn't give a pick, but I lean that the fight goes the distance at plus 130, but I'm just not sure.
So no knockouts.
I don't think so. I don't know. It's a tough call because she could submit her, but I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
Dave, I like a good knockout, I have to say. What about you, Dave? Do you think that the fight does go the distance, or will we see her, ending a bit early with knockout?
Yeah, like Jay said, we went back and forth on this the other day for quite a while, and yes, it is a real tough one to call. Going the distance, I do like that, just because Jessica Eye, she hasn't been a pushover recently. She had a turnaround after going on a bit of a losing streak. She's managed to rack up 3 wins in a row, and they've all gone by decision. And then when we look at Valentina, she's also gone the decision in a few of her fights, and she has locked in a couple of submissions against Priscilla. She got a submission, and I think Juliana Pena, she locked in an armbar on her. But other than that, if you look at Valentina's record, she has also gone to the decision quite a few times. I think we can easily agree that Valentina will win because she has only lost to one girl in the UFC, and that's possibly the best fighter that we're seeing in the female division. That's Amanda Nunes. So she should have this win in the bag easy. It's just how she's going to do it by decision is probably the most likely outcome in this one.
Yeah. Is that video over on your channel there, Jason, Sports Keg, on YouTube?
What for this Saturday, tomorrow night, we'll be on all night long.
No, the 20-minute breakdown.
Cast.
Sorry.
No, that was in our personal chat.
Oh, that was just on personal chat. Okay. Well, but you guys will be live though during the fight, won't you, tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. All fight long. Dave's going to join me. It's going to be fun. We hit a 12-1 shot last week. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that again, but we'll be on.
Yeah. And what time will that be for you, Dave?
That'll be the AM. Well, probably it'll be about probably midnight. I'll probably go on till about 4-5 a.m. possibly.
Ooh, I'll be tucked up
Yeah,
in
the
bed
card
during that
starts
time.
at 6 o'clock Eastern time, and then goes until 1 a.m. basically.
Oof. All right. Now, okay, so let's move to the main fight. We've got Henry and Marlon Moraes set to battle it out. Starters on now. Jason obviously has broken this one down. Do you have any tips for this one, Dave? How are you expecting this fight to go? Is there a heavy favorite, a fighter that you like the look of?
Both fighters are awesome. Obviously, it's a title fight.
Mm.
They wouldn't be in. They wouldn't be in the fight if they weren't. Henry is stepping up a weight again to try and take the bantamweight bout, and Marlon deservingly has earned this shot by beating everybody that they've put in front of him. The only person he did lose to was Rafael Assunção. And after he went on a winning streak after that, he quickly got that loss back in his previous fight and he submitted him in the first round. So he proved to us that the loss that he took was a blip, and he deserves to be where he is. Henry Cejudo, he is already a champion in the division below. He's the flyweight champion. He's beat TJ Dillashaw. He's beat arguably pound for pound one of the best fighters I've ever seen, Demetrius Johnson, and he's Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. So it is another tough fight to break down, but I slightly favour Marlon, and I will be betting on Marlon as well to win. Not too much, obviously. We keep the bankroll management tight. Probably a unit on Marlon. I think I got 1.91,
okay,
which is about minus 110. I favor Marlon Moraes in this fight slightly. It is a tough one to call. I feel like Henry was gonna make the same mistake others have. He's gonna rely on that wrestling, and previously when people have shot in against Marlon, they've paid the price with a knee straight in their face. So I can see the same thing happening, or even probably a decision victory for Marlon.
Sounds rather painful. All right. So obviously Marlon being a slight favourite there at 1.9, a smidgen. Jason, obviously you broke down, you looked at both fighters, their pros and their cons. What was your conclusion?
Well, I don't understand why Henry Cejudo gets no love from the market and odds makers, because all he does is shock the world, constantly. Marlon Moraes, he's a killer. He destroyed the World Series of Fighting. I think he went 11-0 there in the promotion, but it was against really weak competition. He gets signed by the UFC. He runs through Jimmy Rivera, John Dodson, Aljamain Sterling, Rafael Assunção. They're all solid fighters. I do think it's fair to say that half those fighters are on the back nine of their prime in Assunção and Dodson. Yeah, I've been disappointed with Jimmy Rivera the last couple of years, and I think that Aljamain Sterling hasn't reached his full potential yet. I think what's more impressive about Moraes is the way that he has stopped these people rather than who he has necessarily beat, even though all he can do is fight the person that they put in front of him, and he takes care of them every time. Now, if you take a look at Henry Cejudo, listen, I've never been a big fan of Henry Cejudo. You know, I don't know what it is, but every time I bet a fight that he's in, I usually find myself on the other side of him, and it continues to cost me money. He's coming off beating TJ Dillashaw, who was the champion at his division. He was on illegal steroids at the time, and he was the number 4 pound-for-pound fighter in the world at the time that he fought him. I bet against him. I lost. Then he knocks out probably the best MMA fighter of our generation, not named John Jones maybe, in Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. I bet against him. He knocks him out in the first round. So I think it's a disgrace that he's an underdog in this fight. When you look at what he's done and what Marlon has done, he's plus 115 right now. When I wrote the article for Oddsmarket, the pick was the fight ends inside the distance at minus 150, because I think they're going to be throwing bombs at each other for 25 minutes, and there's a really good chance that somebody falls. But right now, that's gone from minus 150 to minus 190. So you have already missed the best of the number by about 45 cents. So if that's the case and you weren't able to get on it early, I'm done fading Henry Cejudo, man. So I would take a look at maybe Henry Cejudo plus 115 or pass the fight if you haven't been able to hop on fight goes inside the distance.
All right, so a little bit of head-to-head here. Now, you said maybe, Dave, that you would put a unit on Marlon, but are you going to wait until you're on the live Sports Keg video tomorrow to make your final decision, or are you ready to pull the trigger now?
No, I was actually Jay's now got the nail on the head, because the odds that I do think Henry, given what's happened, he probably should be the slight favorite. I was hoping the odds were gonna go that way, but they seem to have just stuck around the same number for the past couple of weeks. So I do, even though I do favor Marlon, I was hoping for them odds. I'm probably not going to get them now.
Yeah.
So I'll probably put a unit on Marlon tomorrow. Maybe I may have done it before the show. I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't actually betting against Henry Cejudo hasn't played out well for anybody. The last time I won money on fading Henry Cejudo was 2016. So. Yeah, just be wary when you're placing bets on these main event fights, especially if I'm going head to head with Jay, because I'm pretty sure that he's 2-0 against me when we've gone head to head. So, yeah.
Well, listen, talking about dogs and making money, who are the dogs that you are looking at for Saturday, Dave?
I found 3 dogs that I like. There's a debuting fighter went against me last week, even though I kind of jinxed myself by saying, "Oh, don't pick fighters that are debuting." But Eddie Wineland has been, even though he won his last fight, he's facing a debuting guy who's just a great Muay Thai striker. I think that he's either gonna knock him out or win a decision. That's Gregory Popoff. You can get him for plus 110, 2.10 on the decimal. The other underdog I'm liking was Pedro Munoz versus Aljamain Sterling. Pedro's coming in at 2.25. And then there was another one. Blagoy versus Taito Ivasa. Blagoy, you can get him for about 2.25 as well. That's the big boys. That's the heavyweights. It is a bit of a coin flip when you're messing with these type of fights. But I just think Blagoy has the experience over Tai. He has the grit. I feel like his striking has been better over the past couple of fights. He's a Sambo master. Former World Series of Fighting heavyweight champion. I just think the experience is gonna do Tai over in this one. So that's 3 dogs this week, 2.25 twice, and then a nice 2.10 as well. So nice. Some decent odds right there.
Very nice. Before we wrap up, are there any other matches that that you're looking at, Jason?
The best fight on the card is not the co-main event or the main event for people like me and Dave. It's Donald Cerrone and Tony Ferguson. Yeah. Tony Ferguson, he's my favorite fighter in the UFC. Cowboy's probably in my personal top 5. The whole world was against us when we took Cowboy against Iaquinta, but I felt the matchup really favored Cowboy, and he destroyed Al. I think Cerrone's looked phenomenal the last year and change. He's fought a ridiculous 5 times since the beginning of 2018. And this is his 3rd time in 2019, which is absolutely absurd. So you have to wonder when he slows down because of how often he fights. Eventually, it's going to take a toll on him. But I think styles make fights. And I think in this matchup, it favors Tony. And for 2 reasons. Number 1, Cowboy can't stand pressure. And Tony Ferguson will command the octagon the entire fight. He will move forward the entire fight. And historically, that's given Donald Cerrone a big problem. And the second thing is Cowboy historically has done really poor against southpaw fighters. Now, Tony's not a traditional southpaw fighter, but he's one of the 3 best probably switch stance fighters in the UFC, I think. And he will be giving Cowboy that southpaw look a lot in this fight. And if it goes to the ground, as good as Cowboy is on the mat, Tony's better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I think minus 150 is fair. And I'll be on Tony Ferguson tomorrow night. What do you think, Dave?
Al Kukui all day. I faded.
Yeah,
it didn't do me well fading Cowboy last time. But yeah, as you said, Cowboy doesn't deal well with the pressure fighters at all, and Tony is constant pressure. So yeah, I know there's going to be a finish in this fight. It's not going to the judges' scorecards whatsoever. There's not a chance.
Robert Cherry says the only problem is Donald is a slow starter, and if he can't set out or control the pace, RD1, he won't win, and that's my guy.
He won't control the pace against Tony. Tony
not a
is
chance.
A beast. Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Right, we're going to wrap up, boys. It was great talking to both of you today. Hopefully we'll check in. Is there a fight next week? Are we going to be talking UFC again next week?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, Dave, or no?
Korean zombie.
Korean zombie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds interesting.
Moicano, Rob Font's fighting Brian Barberena. There's a few guys. Kevin Holland. Yeah, I can't remember any of those, but yeah, there's some decent fights to look at next week.
Sweet.
Good memory there. I go back week by week, and so yeah, good memory there. All right. Dave Betts and Jason Paglia, great to see you. And if I've got some time, I definitely will come on and pop onto your show and support you guys over on YouTube. It's the Sports Keg, isn't it? Sports Keg on YouTube.
Sports Keg YouTube
is
channel.
The channel, yeah. And so it's and then also at Dave Betts as well, Twitter handles. So give these guys a follow. Thank you very much for your tips and predictions and information. And I'll see you next week.
See you, Nat.
Thanks, Nat.
Alrighty, this guy needs no introduction. I'm going to clear the table. Called Jimmy the Bag, and he's pretty awesome on his tips. Let me shuffle over. He's coming. He's coming. I can see him waiting in the wings. Oh, let me slide over my chair. Here he is. Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much.
Let me see. So I met you by the coffee machine.
Yes.
And you said, "Oh my God, I have a great long shot tip," didn't you?
I do, but the odds are going down fast. The odds are going down fast, which I guess you can reframe that and say it's good that other handicappers see what you see in this long shot. I guess you'd rather your long shot go from 15-1 to 10-1 to 8-1 rather than 15-1 to 25.
Oh, right, because then you're like, I'm going to pull myself down. Look, I'm way bigger than you. You look really small.
Yes, I feel small.
No, I know, but because it's my seat. Look, watch.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Oh, there we go.
That's the magic of
TV. Level play.
Well, I'm very excited to be on Sports Dead Daily. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming. And okay, so this is the third of the Triple Crown. Obviously, there's 3 of them. The Belmont Stakes.
Yes.
The steak is in like a steak rather than something you eat.
Yes. Yeah. Good work.
Thank you. Yeah. And so obviously 2 different. The first one we watched together, and that was quite controversial, wasn't it?
Very controversial, and that's taken a lot of buzz away from the Triple Crown. A lot of people lost money on Maximum Security and felt that a lot of people were very upset. It was a very controversial decision, and that's taken a lot of the luster out of the Triple Crown. That horse, Maximum Security, who probably is the best 3-year-old in the nation, didn't run in the Preakness and is not running here in the Belmont, and we only have one horse, the horse that was impeded by Maximum Security, the most impeded by Maximum Security in the Kentucky Derby, who then ran in the Preakness and is running in the Belmont. So only one horse is running in all 3 jewels of the Triple Crown.
Oh, okay. And so who do you think is going to win this time? Win the race?
Well, I have a long shot that I like, but to sort of discuss a race like this, it's better to kind of just break down some of the moving parts.
Like how you got to your conclusion.
Well, that would take maybe too long here, but there's a lot of moving parts to this race. And first off, the track, it's a mile and a half, mile and a half long race on dirt. Then you have to look at the two big favorites, and the biggest favorite is Tacitus. Tacitus came fourth in the Kentucky Derby, was moved up to third after the disqualification. Tacitus has the most incredible connections you could have as a horse. You know, he's a Juddmonte Farms horse. Juddmonte Farms have had 3 horses run in the Belmont Stakes. No one's come worse than third. They won it with Empire Maker in 2003. His father, Tapit's sons have won 3 of the last 5 Belmont Stakes. Tapit has 3 sons in this race. And Tacitus is the big favorite of them all. So here's this horse with unbelievable connections. And he skipped the Preakness. So traditionally, horses that have run very well in the Derby who skip the Preakness are ready to fire. They have an advantage in the Belmont because they're rested. Whereas War of Will, who is the second favorite at 2-1, is not rested.
He ran in the last match.
He won it. He won the Preakness Stakes after being blocked or impeded by maximum security in the Derby. So then let's go to War of Will. So then you have War of Will at 2-1. And something that my dad taught me when I was a kid was fade every horse that's run in the first 2 jewels of the Triple Crown in the Belmont. Always fade them. And always fade the horse that's going for the Triple Crown. Always do that because it's extremely difficult to run 3 races, 3 taxing, demanding races in 5 weeks. It's just such a difficult task. And War of Will is a son of Warfront, and he's a fighter. You know, he's a very tough horse. And he's capable of winning this race. So if you take these 2 favorites, and one of them being Tacitus, so 42% of the time in 150 running, 63 times of 150 races, the favorite has won the Belmont Stakes.
Okay.
That's a pretty high percentage.
Yeah.
But only 3 times in the last 15 years. Only 3 times in the last 15 years. And then we move to War of Will. The winner of the Preakness has gone on to win the Belmont Stakes 3 times in the last 17 years. And 2 of them were Triple Crown champions, Hall of Fame, the best in the world ever, American Pharoah and Justify. Do we put War of Will in that group? Those 2 statistics alone gave me the confidence to fade the big favorites and go for a big score. So that was the reasoning behind, you know what. And then the second reasoning of fading Tacitus is that he's won the Wood Memorial, he's won the Tampa Bay Derby, and he came 3rd in the Kentucky Derby. All 3 of those races had one thing in common, and that was fast half miles. Tacitus comes off the pace. Those half miles were run in 45-4, 46-2, and 46-3. Very fast half miles. That's not going to happen at the Belmont Stakes. It's going to be a 49-second half, which means these horses that come from way back are going to have great difficulty doing it. Another big thing about the Belmont is that if you look traditionally back, even just like the last 7 or 8 years, only 1 year did a horse come from way back to win the race. Every single year other than this 1 year, the horse that won the race was within a length or a length and a half at the mile mark. So the horse that won this race was up on the pace. That, again, gives me more confidence to fade Tacitus, this extremely spectacular horse. So getting around all of that, I look for a horse that's going to be right on the pace, and it's going to be a slow pace. The horse that's going to take the places, run the pace, is a horse named Joevia, and Joevia, long shot, is going to go right to the pace, but he's not that fast. I expect a 48-4 half, a 49-second half, and my horse, Spinoff, will be right on that pace and can pounce and win this race. Morning line 15-1. It's gone down to 10-1 and 8-1 in some books. I still think a ton of money is going to come in on Tacitus and War of Will. So hopefully it'll come maybe creep back up.
Yeah. But you've already got the ticket, right? So
No.
Oh, you're waiting for the prize.
No, I don't wait. I use my horse account, my HBI account, so I get what the track is offering. Now, a lot of people think that's a mistake, but depending on what book, when you take a horse early, about 24 hours to 48 hours, they say that the bet will be voided if your horse doesn't start. I mean, there's a lot of things that go on in the next 24 hours. Like I need to know that my horse is sound and healthy and feeling good. The trainer.
How will you know this?
From the trainer. The trainer.
They'll give like a report.
Yes.
But do they not give like? Because sometimes like they'll say like, oh, you know, or have like they're not going to give like some like pretend like white lie information, you know, to like fool people off. You say, oh yeah, the horse is not doing so well, you know, because they want to make the other horses think that they can win. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, not the other horses, but the other cappers or the.
Well, like but I think it's to give them like, you know, false credit. They say like, oh yeah, my horse is not doing so good. So then the other rider's like, oh great, you know, that horse is not doing so well, so I'm going to win. But really, the horse is doing like really well.
That sort of thing happens in C tracks, in the small town tracks with small town prizes. Okay. But when we're talking about, you know, multi-million-dollar races, the horse that wins this race is going to be worth, you know, $20 to $50 million in the breeding shed.
Right.
So
yeah.
I don't think there will be that. If there's any question whether a horse is not sound, the trainer won't run them in a race of this stature. But yeah, I'm on Spinoff. Spinoff ran in the Kentucky Derby. He placed 17th. Mm-hmm. So he had been improving in perfect increments. His buyer had been improving 10 or 11 each time. So he ran in the Saratoga Special as a 2-year-old, came third with like a 75 buyer. Then he came in and ran in just an optional claimer in Tampa, and he won by 11 lengths with an 84 buyer. Mm-hmm. Then he runs in the Louisiana Derby, and it goes up again. It goes up 11. He comes second by 3/4 of length with a 95 buyer. A lot of people have been saying that the Louisiana Derby is not a respected prep race, and that's fine. That's fine. If he had continued improving in those increments, if he goes up another 10 in a buyer speed figure in this race, he wins this race. Mm-hmm. So the Kentucky Derby was run in the slop. As you know, we watched it together. It was run in the muck. Yeah. He did not like the footing. He started from a way outside gate. The fact that he ran so poorly is the reason why I'm giving this big number to cash with. Mm-hmm. So I've made a simple bet. Well, I'm making a simple bet. I'm just going to take $100, go across the board. It's going to cost me $300. $100 to win, $100 to place, $100 to show.
All on Spinoff.
All on Spinoff. And the reason why I'm not going into the exotic market in exactors and trifectas is because there is such a high probability of Tacitus or War of Will being in the top 3 or being amongst the tickets that will bring that price down. So I feel like the most bang for my buck is focusing solely on Spinoff, the number 6 horse. And that is the plan.
Wow. I gotta say, this is probably the most serious conversation we have ever had. I feel like this was like serious talk here. You were getting into business because you have been you've been sports betting since you were 5, haven't you? At the racetrack.
I was given $2 a race. $2 a race.
So this is like your real business right here. This is like your.
This means the most to me.
Yeah, I can see this.
You know, when we were at the track, I was studying the form as a toddler, and my brother was looking for winning tickets on the ground. You know, there was a big difference.
Someone dropped it.
Well, that's because when everyone throws, they're losing tickets. Oh. So he would search through. Oh. Packs, you know, so you can tell who's the capper and who's the. I won't finish that sentence.
Now, all right. Before we wrap up, Dave bets, but I think I can answer this question here. He did say, obviously, it's actually about the Raptors game. He's asked who you were on, and I'm going to say, looking at your mighty fine cap here and knowing where you're from, I'm going to say you're on the Toronto Raptors.
This is a bet where I did lock in my odds. I did lock in at plus 175 on the money line with the Toronto Raptors. I think that we know that Klay Thompson is going to be back.
Exactly.
He's going to be defending the perimeter. I'm also on he's a great, the man's incredibly impressive offensively, but I think where he does his best work in a series like this is on the perimeter, defending the perimeter. But this is a situation where I think that I'm also on Kyle Lowry with over 10.5 rebounds and assists. Look, the Warriors have never been more vulnerable ever. The Warriors have never been more vulnerable. Even when they didn't win the championship against the Cavs, they were not. This is the most vulnerable we've ever seen them. If they were completely healthy, maybe they sweep the Raptors. But no need for those thoughts. Raptors are in business here. Raptors are in business. I don't need the points.
And you're 2-1 right now.
We're up 2-1.
So that isn't like a very good point. This is like the first time that they've been here and they're playing against the other team and they own it, don't they? They're like confident in the finals.
But all of the stats, we should put a line through all of the previous stats because of the injuries. Yeah. You know, because last game, in Game 3, there were more tickets on the Raptors than the Warriors. That had happened 18 times in the Steve Kerr era, where more tickets were on the opposing team than the Warriors. The Warriors were 18-0 in those situations and had covered the spread 15 of the 18 times, winning by an average of 8.6 points. Well, we beat them easily, without a sweat. We dominated the entire game because of their injuries.
Yeah.
You know, they have 2 first ballot Hall of Famers out of the lineup in Game 3. One's coming back in Game 4. And Kevon Looney is their best big man. Now you have Boogie Cousins sweating buckets all over the floor. The guy's in terrible shape. Every time he gets up off the bench, there's this pool of ass sweat. The guy's in no way should this guy be playing 30 minutes. And then Andrew Bogut, who's a very skilled big man. He's old and he's slow. And we have the perfect guys in Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol to take advantage of the situation. And Siakam, too, if we need, because Siakam, when we go small, we can move Siakam into the 4 and the 5 spots. And the Warriors are in big trouble. They're in grave danger.
Yes. But good news for you, though.
Very good news.
Yeah. All right, so like in Toronto Raptors, and one final thing here. Where's me to bring up so I can say correctly? What about Clay over 17.5?
Well, one of the sharpest basketball cappers I know is on the Clay under 18 points. I would never put my money on a guy who we don't know if his hamstring's going to hold up. It's just he could come out of the gate scoring, looking incredible, and then his hamstring pulls. If you're going to put your hard-earned money on something, you can't put it on a body part that we don't know whether it's going to hold up or not. And that's his hamstring. So no, I would be, and even if he comes out and plays great, it's a very dangerous move to make, whether or not that hamstring holds up. So no, I know people who are taking the under with Clay, and he's going to be so important defensively on the perimeter. So no, I would not.
And you don't want to push it too much, will he? If it's his first outing, you've still got some more series games to go, don't you?
No, he has to push it right now.
Yeah?
He has to. So he has to go all in. So he's in a really tricky spot.
Yeah.
The Warriors are in a tricky spot.
And do the Raptors have the home advantage on this one?
No, it is in Oakland.
Okay.
This is in Oakland.
Oh, so you think we're going to win on the road?
Just like in Game 3, yes, I think we're going to win on the road. Now, it's going to be more difficult with Clay out there.
Yeah. Right. Awesome stuff, Jimmy the Bag. So, thank you very much for your tips there.
Thank you.
In the
Belmont.
very serious tone.
Very serious when we're talking horse races. Belmont, spin-off.
Means business.
15-1 morning line. It's 12-1, 10-1, or 8-1 at different books. Spin-off gives us a ton of value. We lost in the Kentucky Derby with the disqualification. I lost the exactor by a taint hair when Everfast came second in front of my horse Owendale, which would have been another plus $1,000 score. I'm getting my plus $1,000 score here in the Belmont with spin-off.
And to end the show, Chance says, Jimmy sees it all. Yes, he does.
Wow.
Take that with you. Have a wonderful weekend. Yeah, very kind.